Caribbean Newsline is brought to you by the Barbados Tourism Marketing, Inc.
Guyana's appeal court says the no-confidence motion passed against the government last year was not valid. Our top story in Caribbean Newsline for Friday, March 22nd. From the CMC News Centre in Bridgetown, I'm Dawn Paris. Good evening. Guyana's Court of Appeal on Friday ruled that 34 votes and not 33 were needed to pass the no-confidence motion tabled by the opposition against the coalition government on December 21st last year. The three-member panel handed down the ruling 2-1 a few moments ago. Chancellor of the Judiciary, Yonette Cummings-Edwards, and Justice Don Gregory struck down Chief Justice Roxanne George Wiltshires' ruling that the no-confidence motion was validly passed in the 65-member National Assembly, 33-32 votes. Justice Rishi Prasad had ruled that the motion was passed by the 33 majority, upholding the ruling of the Chief Justice. But Justice Prasad refused an application by Christopher Ram for an election date to be named. As regards the Canadian citizenship of then-government parliamentarian Sharandas Prasad, whose vote had allowed for the passage of the no-confidence motion, the Justice of Appeal agreed that there was no evidence to prove that Prasad had known that he had been ineligible to be a parliamentarian. Justice Gregory upheld the Chief Justice's decision that Prasad's vote was valid, although he is a dual citizen. On the issue of whether Prasad ought not to have voted against the list, the Justice of Appeal said the Constitution allows for voting against the list under certain circumstances. Meanwhile, speaking to the media after the ruling, former Attorney General Anil Nandlal said the opposition People's Progressive Party, PPP, will now approach the Caribbean Court of Justice. Well, earlier in the day, the PPP staged a protest outside the Ministry of the Presidency, calling on President David Granger to call general and regional elections now. Armed with placards and chanting that Granger and members of his government must go, the PPP supporters, led by the party's presidential candidate Irfan Ali, protested what they said was the illegitimate government.
What you're seeing here today is the power of the people, right? And this is going on across the country in all 10 regions. We also have concerned Guyanese and other persons in the US, in Canada, in the UK, in Trinidad and Tobago also engaged in protest activity today against this illegal group of people who are imposing themselves on the people of Guyana unconstitutionally, illegally, and illegitimately. What we have to understand here is that the rule of law, our Constitution, and the democratic rights of our people has been thrown out of the window. And here is where the people are standing up against this, standing up against their rights being trampled upon.
The demonstration came even as Minister of State Joseph Harmon said Granger is expected to announce the election date soon. Harmon had written to opposition leader Barrett Jagdeo, indicating that the president had received correspondence from the Guyana Elections Commission, GCOM, regarding its readiness to deliver credible elections, and he intends to shortly name a date for the polls within the framework provided by GCOM chairman, retired Justice James Patterson. Patterson had told Granger that GCOM would be prepared to hold election no earlier than late November once it gets the necessary finances and it completes a house-to-house registration exercise to create a new voters list. But Jagdeo has maintained that November is too late for elections. The PPP had been insisting that elections be held by March 19th, in keeping with the constitutional guideline to hold the elections within 90 days following the no-confidence motion that toppled the coalition government. Still in Guyana, well, that former government backbencher Sharandas Prasad has sued the Minister of Public Security, Kemraj Ramjatan, for alleged libel following the no-confidence vote in Parliament. Prasad voted against the government, thereby costing the David Granger-led coalition its one-seat majority. Following the vote, Ramjatan made allegations against Prasad in the local media. According to an article by Starbrook News, in a statement of claim filed by attorney Chris Ram, Prasad said Ramjatan was given the opportunity to withdraw the allegations, but he failed to do so. Ramjatan had also passed information about Prasad to the police, and Prasad fled to Canada following the vote. The statement added Prasad was verbally attacked as a result of Ramjatan's utterances, and he fears returning to Guyana. Antigua and Barbuda is warning of a split within CARICOM over the situation in Venezuela. The caution from the Twin Island nation's Information Minister Melford Nicholas came Thursday ahead of the leaders of St. Lucia, Jamaica, St. Kitts and Nevis and Haiti meeting on Friday with United States President Donald Trump. Among the matters on the agenda was the political and economic crisis in Venezuela. Trump and his allies have openly and strongly supported opposition leader Juan Guaido, who has declared himself Venezuela's interim president, and the CARICOM countries whose leaders he's meeting with had supported an OAS resolution not to recognize President Nicolas Maduro's second five-year term in office after he was sworn in January. Speaking to reporters at the end of the weekly cabinet meeting on Thursday, Nicholas reiterated St. John's position of non-interference in Caracas.
We cannot oost the intent of Mr. Trump and what he intends to do. But so far as Antigua is concerned, wherever we have to be engaged with any of these international powers and in any hemispheric or any other multilateral agency, our positions are forged out of principled positions. We do not consider ourselves as having any hostile intent or any unfriendly intent to any country.
Still to come, Trinidad and Tobago's Prime Minister says Port of Spain does not feel slighted by the United States not inviting the country to the meeting. Stay with us.
Jump up to this non-stop turn and twist.
What up, it's your boy French Montana.
It's me, Smokey Robinson.
It's your boy Davido.
Hi, I'm Elme.
This is Bucci Banton, and I'll be performing live with the Shiloh Band in St. Kitts Music Festival.
Don't miss the 23rd Annual St. Kitts Music Festival, June 26th to June 30th, 2019, featuring Bucci Banton, Smokey Robinson, Popcorn, and Elme. Also, Davido, French Montana, Fimba, Edwin Yearwood and Crossfire, Coco T, Skinny Fabulous, Charles Marshall, Charlie Black, Farmer Nappy, Nadia Batson, Infamous, New Vibes Band, and many, many more. It will be epic. It will be mind-blowing. It will be jaw-dropping. It will be awesome. The St. Kitts Music Festival, an experience like no other. For more information and to buy tickets, log on to www.stkittsmusicfestival.com.
Welcome back. Trinidad and Tobago's Prime Minister Dr. Keith Rowley says his country has no reason to feel slighted or snubbed by its omission from Friday's meeting with U.S. President Donald Trump. With speculation rife that the Twin Island Republic's stance on Venezuela is to blame, the Prime Minister says his country will uphold its principles no matter what. But former Foreign Affairs Minister Ralph Maraj says Trinidad's exclusion is a cause for concern. We get more in this CNC3 news report.
Snubbed indeed. This country's absence from a meeting with selected Caribbean leaders and U.S. President Donald Trump today was not by accident.
I think we were deliberately left out of the meeting without a doubt, and it all has to do with our mollycoddling and extreme coziness with a brutal dictator, Nicolas Maduro, not condemning his violation of democracy and human rights, because, we want his dragon field gas. That's what we want.
In fact, according to political commentator and former Foreign Affairs Minister Ralph Maraj, it points to a growing distance between Washington and Port of Spain. He says Dr. Rowley's tone and position does nothing to bridge the widening gap.
We have lost our economic clout as a provider of oil and gas. And in addition to that, now we have this lack of finesse, this elementariness, this brusqueness in the conduct of our relationship of our foreign affairs, and coming from none other than the Prime Minister himself. We need more sophistication, we need more refinement.
Murad says our country has fallen behind badly.
So we do not stand tall, contrary to what Dr. Rowley has stated yesterday. We stand diminished in the region. We have lost our leadership of CARICOM, which we had. Jamaica now is leading the way.
Miraj also believes that omission from discussions on Chinese predatory economic practices at today's meeting is a huge blow.
They are burdening the countries with debt for the acquisition of strategic resources to advance their political agenda, their global agenda of establishing China as the preeminent nation in the world. That is what they want to do. And we have to be very, very careful that we are not used as pawns in this Chinese game.
According to Miraj, the Prime Minister's downplaying of the significance of the meeting with select CARICOM leaders will haunt the population.
And Dominica's President Charles Saverin is blaming the U.S. and Canada for setting the stage for the worsening socio-political situation in Venezuela. He was speaking at a ceremony where the new Venezuelan ambassador to Dominica presented his credentials. The president says Dominica will continue to stand in solidarity with Venezuela in defense of its rights and sovereignty and the principle of non-intervention in the internal affairs of sovereign states.
The imposition of sanctions against Venezuela by the United States of America in 2015 and by the United States of America and Canada jointly in 2017, that is before the presidential elections of May 2018, set the stage for the worsening of these social, political, and economic challenges. In the wake of the presidential elections of May 2018, there has been a concerted effort to delegitimize the duly elected government instead of engaging in dialogue and negotiations to thrash out differences internally, regionally, and internationally. Dominica will continue to stand in solidarity with Venezuela in defense of its rights and sovereignties and the principle of non-intervention in the internal affairs of sovereign states.
CARICOM leaders at their intersessional summit in St. Kitts and Nevis last month had reiterated their position of non-interference in the internal affairs of Venezuela. And the new Venezuelan diplomat said in this difficult time, Caracas has become more aware of its friends.
We could not be more grateful and be more proud of the dignified position and eloquent statements that have been maintained by the people of Dominica and its leaders in the different areas of political action where its participation and leadership is exercised. We welcome the statements issued by the Caribbean community when it stated its position. The people of Venezuela must be allowed to decide their own future in accordance with the principle of the United Nations Charter: non-intervention, non-interference, prohibition of threat or use of force, and furthermore, the CARICOM's concern for the escalation of tension in the Bolivarian Republic of Venezuela and the ensuing increase in hardship and suffering of the population exacerbated by the imposition of sanctions.
Well, reggae fans say Buju Banton delivered on the first leg of his Long Walk to Freedom tour, and we also hear that 19 countries will take part in CARIFESTA 14, all in this week's Newsline Entertainment.
After his comeback concert in Jamaica on March 16, Buju Banton is gearing up for the next stop on his long-awaited Long Walk to Freedom tour in the Bahamas. Last Saturday, reggae fans packed the National Stadium in Kingston to capacity for the long-awaited concert. It was his first performance since he returned home last December after spending 8 years in a U.S. jail on drugs charges, and fans said he did not disappoint. 19 countries have confirmed their attendance in the upcoming CARIFESTA 14. Trinidad and Tobago will host the Caribbean Festival of Arts from August 16 to 25. 16 CARICOM and associate member states, as well as Canada, Curacao, and Venezuela, have signed on. The program includes a Grand Market Hub, 4 community festivals, a youth village, as well as workshops and symposia. The public will also be treated to a super concert featuring Calypso Rose, Shaggy, Machel Montano, Kassav, and others. Hindu communities celebrated Pagwa on Thursday. It is the annual celebration of the triumph of good over evil. Guyanese of all beliefs marked the observance with a public holiday, and Foreign Affairs Minister Carl Greenwich says the country has avoided the ethnic and religious conflict that has plagued other multicultural countries.
Events such as the one we are hosting today help to foster religious tolerance and to promote inclusiveness by ensuring that every major religious and ethnic group is accorded respect.
And over in Trinidad, this year the celebration was all about teaching the children to live responsible lives.
That if we wish for our children to be God-fearing, to be disciplined, it starts from even before birth. The samskars, the messages, the lessons. It's
Mary-Claire Williams, Newsline Entertainment.
Ahead in sport, a former director of West Indies cricket wants the next administration to reach out to cricket legends and other experts. We'll tell you what for after the break.
So what has been established so far in all these investigations that you think that the president could be guilty of, or where he may have a problem? I'll start with you, William.
As of now, there's no actual crime. There's nothing to indict Donald Trump on. Most of the indictments have been unrelated or process crimes related to the investigation. It looks like, more has come out about the FBI and the DOJ and what was happening at the highest levels. There was a silent coup.
Greetings everybody, love and blessings. I am Jazzelise, young upcoming recording artist, fresh out of Jamaica. Jazzelise is just a girl who, she just loves music, she just loves expressing herself. I love expressing myself through art, and doing music is one of the best ways that I can express myself through art.
Sister, she needs some time away from grey clouds and rocky roads. Oh no, no.
Up to 20% of women of reproductive age will develop fibroids, non-cancerous growths in the womb that can cause pain. Now, risk factors include race and family history, but women can lower their chances of developing fibroids by eating a healthy diet, free of alcohol and processed foods. That's the perspective of naturopathy expert Dr. Malaika Agbeko. Dr. Agbeko is encouraging women to choose a healthier diet.
Regional academic, luminary, and former director of West Indies cricket, Sir Hilary Beckles, is calling on the next administration of Cricket West Indies to include cricket legends and other stakeholders to assist in the game. The UWI Chancellor, who issued a statement to the press on Friday, 2 days before Cricket West Indies elects a new executive in Jamaica, says there is a dire need for accountability and transparency in the new regional board. CMC's Ricardo Roberts followed the press conference, which was streamed live on UETV, and filed this report.
With just hours before cricket boards across the region elect a new executive to govern West Indies cricket for the next 2 years, Director of UWI's Cricket Research Centre, Sir Hilary Beckles, has come out swinging regarding the state of West Indies cricket. Sir Hilary and former WICB Director in an 18-minute-long statement, reflected on the rise and decline of the regional game. He says prior to the 1980s, the West Indies team were the undisputed champions at all levels of the game. But he says since then, the Windies have been struggling to re-emerge itself as the bastion of world cricket. And with other cricketing nations having been through rise and declines of their own, Sir Hillary says the regional side is at risk of ending 2 decades still in the doldrums. The respected Caribbean academic took the current board to task over its silence on the team's steady decline, calling it a disrespect to cricketers and the people of the region. Sir Hillary is of the view that the regional game's upward movement must come through all levels.
We are clear about the fact that the decline of our performance, especially in the test level, is complex, intellectually deep-rooted. But what we are clear about is that the movement from awful to awesome has to take place at the level of leadership, on the field, and in the management.
Attempts have been made to restore West Indies cricket's global image with the recent recommendations by the CARICOM Subcommittee on Cricket Governance and the 2007 partisan report commissioned by the then WICB, both which the current board has rejected. Sir Hillary reiterated the importance of the adoption of the partisan report.
The partisan report sets out very clearly the path forward for West Indies cricket to enable the emergence of our cricket culture. The governance reforms embedded in the partisan report, however, have been rejected. It's a report that calls for greater accountability in the management of West Indies cricket, in the leadership of West Indies cricket. It calls for greater transparency. It calls for the removal of cliques and cabals. And it calls for the recognition that cricket is the public good in our Caribbean world. The West Indian cricket culture, in rejecting the Patterson's reforms, have now presented itself as the last relic of an old age of lack of accountability.
Looking ahead to the elections, Sir Hillary highlighted in 10 points plans which he says the new executive must adopt to take the regional game forward. These include the need to develop and not divide young talent, the need to embrace and not alienate investors in West Indies cricket, a commitment to reform and not resist new visions for governance, to promote and not marginalize nor degrade the genius of the region's indigenous legends, and to win back the respect of the global community. The CWI elections will take place this Sunday at the Pegasus Hotel in Jamaica. Ricardo Roberts, CMC Sport.
Meanwhile, Test icon Shivnarine Chandapal says the success of the domestic franchise system has left him with no choice but to support incumbent Cricket West Indies President Dave Cameron in his re-election bid. HGP's Jaden Samuel has that story.
While many are calling for fresh blood at the management of West Indies cricket, some still believe in the Dave Cameron-led administration. With 7 being the winning number for either side, Guyana Cricket Board, because of its success over the recent years, will be voting for Dave Cameron regardless of all the mishaps under his watch. Sanctioning this vote and explaining why was Dr. Shivnarine Chandapal speaking at a reception held for 5-time champions, the Guyana Jaguars, at the Grand Coastal Hotel on Wednesday evening.
My reason is simple. Over the past 5 years, with the introduction of franchise system, cricket in the Caribbean has seen quite an improvement.
While many are calling for fresh blood at the management of West Indies cricket, some still believe in the Dave Cameron-led administration. With 7 being the winning number for either side, Guyana Cricket Board.
We apologize for that technical error, but over to the women's game now. Captain Hayley Matthews struck a dashing century as Barbados thrashed Jamaica by 8 wickets to win their 3rd game on the trot in the Regional Super 50 on Thursday. Chasing 215 for victory in the third round contest, Barbados coasted to their target in the 36th over, courtesy of 108 from Matthews. The highly rated Windies opener faced 101 deliveries and struck 14 fours and 2 sixes. She dominated a 52-run opening stand with Danielle Small before adding a further 132 for the second wicket with left-hander Kycian Knight, who stroked 59 from 79 balls with 7 fours. At Everest, discarded West Indies batsman Stacey Ann King reminded selectors of her quality as Trinidad and Tobago got past Windward Islands by 51 runs. Opting for first knock, TNT rallied to 257 for 5 with King stroking an unbeaten 79, Rachel Vincent 59, while Renice Boyce hit a runner ball unbeaten 43. In reply, the Windwards put up an admirable fight thanks to half-centuries from Stacey Ann Edwards and Affie Fletcher, but failed to overhaul their target as they finished on 206 for 6 off their 50 overs. At Enmore, host Guyana sent Leeward Islands to another defeat with a crushing 131-run victory. Shabnika Gajnabi struck a runner ball 78 to get her side up to 240 for 9 before fellow teenager Mandy Mangru grabbed 4 for 22 with her off spin to limit the Leewards to 109 all out in the 25th over. Well, that's the sports. We'll be right back.
Caribbean Newsline is brought to you by the Barbados Tourism Marketing Inc.
Be let down, no, we're ready for you, and nobody can tell me now. I'm waiting.
This now them watching me like Netflix. Now leave them in a silence. Them a wait for me to bring the vibes. Jamaican people.
Don't jump up to this non-stop turn and twist.
What up? It's your boy French Montana.
It's me, Smokey Robinson.
It's your boy Davido.
Hi, I'm Elme.
This is Buju Banton, and I'll be performing live with the Shiloh Band in St. Kitts Music Festival.
Don't miss the 23rd Annual St. Kitts Music Festival, June 26th to June 30th, 2019, featuring Buju Banton, Smokey Robinson, Popcorn, and Elme. Also, Davido, French Montana, Fimba, Edwin Yearwood and Crossfire, Coco T, Skinny Fabulous, Shal Marshall, Charlie Black, Farmer Nappy, Nadia Batson, Infamous, New Vibes Band, and many, many more. It will be epic. It will be mind-blowing. It will be jaw-dropping. It will be awesome. The St. Kitts Music Festival, an experience like no other. For more information and to buy tickets, log on to www.stkittsmusicfestival.com.
Again, the major developments of this day. Guyana's appeal court says the no-confidence motion passed against the government last December was not valid. And in sport, former director of West Indies cricket, Sir Hilary Beckles, wants the next administration to include cricket legends and other experts who can help revive the regional game. And that's Caribbean Newsline. For news and sport around the clock, subscribe to CanonNews.com. And for more of our programming, log on to caravision.tv and check our YouTube channel.